Hello, friends. Welcome and namaste. Crystal Joy of CJoy Yoga, and we are going to start with a restorative pose in order to try to open the chest and the front of the shoulders, particularly. So, if you have blocks, and depending on your spine and everything that's going on in your body, you'll have one block that is this is the back where my head is going to be, right? So, I'll have one block that's on the medium setting, the long distance of the block matches the short distance of my mat. The other one is going to be on high behind that. And just to point out, because once I get into it, I'm not going to come up and show this version. If this ends up being too much, you could try to drop the blocks to a lower setting, or you could simply make yourself a bolster setup. The butt goes in front of it and you lay back over it. Head could be propped up on a pillow or some such, but that way you still get that spine support where the shoulders have to roll around that. This one goes something like this. And you might watch for a second before you go in, right? I put my butt a bit in front of that. It's going to be different for everybody because we all have different torso lengths. And I'm going to start to lower down. And I want the top edge, the one closest to where my head is going to be, to catch the bottom tips of my shoulder blades. And the thing I see the most often is people have this right on their rib basket, not on their shoulder blades. And they're really not doing much beneficial, or not nearly as much anyway, as if you catch the shoulder blades. I kind of walk them under and then I bring that high block under. And before you go in, the other thing I want you to see is I'll talk all about you might have your feet on the ground, you might extend them out, you might move the top block to a medium setting. But the most important thing is getting out for the safety, particularly of the neck, right? I imagine that I have a chain on my chest. I turn my palms down. I'm going to let my feet kind of shoot forward and I'm going to let my head be the last thing to come up. The chest lifts the body. Okay, so now all that said, start to lower yourself down onto your setup again. I was always taught to walk the shoulder blades under me just a little bit and try to get them caught on the top edge of that first block. And just pause here. Let's all of us, with our feet on the ground, lift our hips and move our buttocks just a little forward and set back down. That's going to help your low back, especially if you have sensitive low back. Right now, you're discovering if your low back is too sensitive, come off and do the blanket setup, right? And then some of us, we can extend our legs out, and that doesn't hurt our low back or cause any compression, right? And just pause here for a few moments. Just starting, it's a big thing to start off with right off the bat, right? Especially if you've been rounded forward all day at work or sitting in the car driving for hours or like various things. So many of us spend so much time in that rounded forward position. So breathe into this. And if this feels too extreme, this might not be the sequence in general for you, A. And B, you could try a lower setting, right? Doing this on the blanket setup. Some of us, we might bring that block that's under the head down. Now, I like to put my feet on the ground for the transition. I bring one hand under my head and pull it up and hold it while I bring the other block down on medium. And then I really gently lengthen my crown of my head back as I bring that head down. And again, when you get in, if that feels a little too extreme, come back up onto the high setting. And don't be aggressive with this, but think of your lowest part of your rib basket softening back down towards the floor. The neck softening. The head has weight, holding it steady to the block. Your lungs are so very wide open right now, so consider playing with the breath, seeing if you can't get a, what I'm going to call, deeper breath than you might be able to with your shoulders rounded forward. And let's try and be here for about 3, maybe 4 more breaths. Again, we are all in different situations. I forgot to say, I like to put my feet on the ground to bring my head up and redo the position on the lower block, but I like to re-extend them once I'm in. Okay, so for coming out, please do not let your head try to lift your whole torso. It's so fucking hard on the neck, right? Turn your palms down, feet on the ground, knees bent. And again, I might even let my feet kind of lift and shoot forward, but let the chest lift you. Inhale, then let the head come up. Pause for just a moment. Hands can be forward on the legs or wherever they're the most comfortable. Just notice what you notice. And go ahead and move those blocks. And we're going to do one more stretching kind of thing, and then we'll start to move into some of the strength. So for this one, you're going to lay on your belly. You're going to let your right arm tee out at the height of the shoulder, so to speak. The left hand comes into what I call training wheel arm, like a training wheel on a toddler's bike, right? You're going to push into that training wheel, and I'm going to show a couple of variations. One is I just simply bend my left knee, I lay my head down, and I'm in somewhat of a recovery position, if you know first aid. Some of us, we're not feeling much in the front of that right shoulder, so we're going to bend the right knee as well, and we're going to stack the legs with the knees bent. I can push into that left hand to try to roll a little more to the right, or I might even bring my left foot down behind my leg set up and let my left knee raise up. As my pelvis starts to move, I might feel a little more twisting of my torso, a little more stretch through the front of my right shoulder. Push your hand and your palm down into the ground, finger pads, right? Make sure you're not locking out your, what's it called, the elbow, and breathe. Roll onto your belly, tee your left arm out, right hand in training wheel. Again, I might just let my right knee bend and come over, lay my head down. I might bend both knees and come in. I have a little bit of pressure in that right hand to roll myself towards my left shoulder. I might put my right foot down behind my leg set up and let my right knee reach up, and then breathe into whatever's happening in the front of your left shoulder and arm. And the last bit, maybe push down through your palm, your finger pads. Try not to lock out the elbow. Us hyperextenders tend to do that here. And release, roll onto your belly. Let your arms come by your side and turn your head one direction. Palms can face up for a second. So the arms are now, I want you to notice that now your arms are in what's called internal rotation, aka your shoulders are kind of rounding forward. The position they're in probably too much of the time. Go ahead and turn the head the other way. Pause and soften. Notice that one side you probably got a little further than the other in the twist, or one's more comfortable, or whatever that is. Bring your hands next to your ribs. Think low cobra. Tone your pelvic floor, your corset, all the things, and push back to child's pose. Let those arms work. So my arms are straight. Bring your hands about as wide as your mat for a second. Wider if you're a broad-shouldered person and your natural is the width of the mat. Go ahead and push down into your finger pads. Right? As we start to weight bear with the arms, we really want to remember to push the fingers down so the weight doesn't sit in the heel of the hand. That's really hard on wrists. You're going to walk your hands over towards the right of center. Push your hands forward and down, hips down and back. Come back through center and towards the left side of your mat. Push your mat forward and down, your hips down and back. Breathe into that right side. Come on back to center. Come on up to hands and knees into downward dog. That's what I was trying to say, into downward dog. Feel free to move or pedal this first one, right? Anything you need to feel like you're more at home in your body and your body's getting the space it needs, the love, the tenderness. And then we're going to walk our hands back to our feet. Pardon me. Reach the chest forward. Exhale, fold. And inhale, arms can be out or hands on the hips. Come on up to standing and bring those arms on down. So standing wherever you want to on your mat. And actually, I'm going to take a second and take off this shirt so you can see my shoulder a little better. I'm not quite, this morning it was like 35 or something like that when I woke up, so I wasn't in tank top mood. Okay, so we're going to bring the left hand behind, and don't go up high. You might go there in a little bit, but don't go there right now. Keep it low on about the top of the sacrum, right? And when I push into it, I'm not letting my hips move forward. They're a wall, they're nice and sturdy. I'm standing in Tadasana, but as I push into that left hand, I want to see if I can get this left shoulder to roll back, as if I could get my left shoulder blade to flatten onto my spine. Now, when most people do that, they try to get the elbow to do the work because it's the easier of the two, and the arm stays in internal rotation. I want you to keep the elbow about where it is. And again, try to lift that shoulder a little up, move it a little back, and try to flatten that shoulder blade down onto the back, all without the ribs moving forward, the lowest ribs, right? Take another breath or two from there and release that arm down. Now my right arm is it's my sucker, it's my challenging arm. Bring the right hand behind you. Again, keep it low, please. And as you push into Stand Tadasana, get nice and sturdy. As you push into the sacrum, this is my shoulder where I can really show you what I mean, right? I can move that elbow back so freely, but I'm still not doing much of a favor to this shoulder pattern, right? So I'm going to try to keep my elbow where it is. I'm going to try to lift that up, and I'm going to try to flatten my shoulder blade. And I'm not doing them at the same time, but if I were to show you both of my shoulders and you're here in person with me, you would see how much easier and further my left shoulder goes into place than my right shoulder does. This one really wants to get cranked forward, right? You probably have one that does as well, probably your dominant hand, but not always. Breathe. Okay, go ahead and release that down. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to come into half push-up. So from your half push-up, right, that means your knees are further back than your hips, your wrists are under your shoulders. Try to really push into your hands, and then try to find that same position of the front of the shoulder that we were just working with. So move your shoulders a little to your ears, a little together, and a little down the back, and look forward. But make sure your ribs, lowest ribs, and your belly aren't just dropping and puddling down to the floor, right? Try to pull that gently up into neutral. So the neutral spine, elongated spine, but we're not letting the shoulders round forward and finding the power from the front of the shoulder, the anterior deltoid. We're trying to find more power in the upper back. That was last week's work. That's why we did that first, right? And now we're going to bend our elbows just a smidge and push into the hands and straighten. And bend the elbows just a smidge and straighten. Now look at your shoulders. When you bend the elbows, are the shoulders diving forward? I see it every day that I teach. Every single day I teach, especially groups, right? Try to move those shoulder blades down the back. Keep the shoulder heads lifting when you bend. And move back into a child's pose and pause for a moment there. Any arm variation. So go ahead and put yourself in a position where you can see my body. And I'm just going to do it from a half push-up, but whether you're doing half push-ups or full push-ups, I want you to see in my body what I see more often than not, right? Is that when people go down into their push-up, right, the elbows might be back, but the shoulders dive forward. And we're really overutilizing that anterior deltoid at the potential expense, maybe not this time, but with time, of hurting the rotator cuff, right, and doing some damage in the shoulder. So I'm a stickler on this, but for a good reason, because we want to make sure we keep these shoulders our whole lives as healthy as we can, right? So we're going to play with that a little bit. You're going to take your blocks and have them on about the edge of the mat. Broader shoulders, wider, not as broad shoulders, maybe in a little bit. But when we come into our chaturanga, we're going to try to get our shoulder, this part of the shoulder, the front of the shoulder, anterior deltoid, onto those blocks. So you're going to put your hands right behind them, fingers spread wide, all the things, right? Be in your half push-up for now. We'll get into more later, don't you worry. My friends are like, I need more. No, you don't. Not right now. Love you. No, you don't. Go ahead and start to come on down until your shoulders are on the block. And if you need to come up and rearrange, come up and rearrange. I mean mine a little bit more narrow, right? Okay. So once your shoulders are on there, go ahead and find your pelvic floor, right? Your inner groin and your low belly. That's from like 3 months ago. We really intensified that one, right? Move those elbows in and a little back, reach your chest forward and try to get your belly to come off of the floor. Now, for some of my friends, you're just going to work from right here, and this is plenty. Put more weight in your finger pads, right? And the blocks are basically, we're trying to prevent the shoulders from rolling down while we're holding the weight of the body in chaturanga. Some of us are going to curl our toes under and push our heels back and lift our thighs. And just notice if you're someone who, when you're on these blocks, your shoulders are really fighting to move down and in, and your upper back wants to round up, and try to avoid that. And then you're going to push into those blocks. Knees can come down, come back to child's pose. And again, if you want it, you might bring your arms by your side with your palms up. And I want you to notice that's the exact opposite of what we're trying to do when we're working with the power. Here it's fine. You're passive and you're soft. You're not bearing weight. So now come on up, ditch the blocks, come into a half push-up. And right here, before you get all powerful and crazy pants, right, find alignment, especially in the shoulder glenohumeral joint, right? So I'm going to talk about the core first because the core is pretty important here. Move your thighs into imaginary block, find your pelvic floor and your corset, right? Don't let the ribs flare. Move your shoulders a little to your ears, a little together, and a little towards the buttocks, and then try to find that strength between your shoulder blades, holding steady. Now, if you want to curl your toes under and lift your legs, now's the time. Come forward on the tippy toes, and then when you come down, shoulder heads lift like those blocks were under them the whole time until you make it to the earth. Inhale up, low cobra. Exhale down, low cobra again. Inhale up, low cobra. Keep that belly pulled up, the thighs lift. If you push down, all the usual suspects, right? Now stay in your low cobra. Lift your hands. Make sure it's that area of the upper back like we did last week that's doing the work, but notice how it's opening the front of the shoulder, just like when we had our arms out and we did that stretch earlier, right? Now bring your hands back down and start to keep the elbows in, start to push in and come up a little higher, right? But when you come up, again, I see it every day that I teach, that's why I'm harping about it. Don't let the shoulders roll forward and the head bob down. Keep the shoulder blades a little down and together on the back, and keep those shoulder heads like the blocks were still on them, right? If you want to straighten the arms and lift the thighs and come into upward dog, keep the upper back bend. And then make your way back, downward facing dog. Breathe. Dun, 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 dun. Magic. Okay, so that's the little shoulder, front of the shoulder intensive today. Come down, and let's go ahead and come into a seated posture or a kneeling posture. You're going to go ahead, pardon me, and bring one arm on top. Doesn't matter to me which one it is, right? Let your shoulder blades separate, just stretching that upper back a little bit because it had to work pretty good too. Maybe bring the forearms into that crossed position for your eagle arms. They're both wonderful. Maybe the elbows lift and try to stay out of the upper traps when you do that. Breathe. And then whatever arm you have on top, you're going to let the head move the opposite way. So if your right arm's on top, left ear to left shoulder. And if your left arm is on top, it's right ear to right shoulder. And breathe, only if it feels beneficial. Lift the head up wherever you are. Remember what arm is on top so that when you bring it in, you have the other arm on top. Could be a hug, might be that interlace. Maybe the elbows lift a little bit. I'd say no higher than the height of the shoulder, probably something like that. And either arm variation, it might be that your head leans the opposite way of whatever arm is on top. Breathe and bring the head back up. Bring the arms back down. Roll those shoulder blades around. Sit up nice and tall, closed or mostly closed eyes. And if you prefer to lay down and you've got time for a shavasana, take it. Otherwise, let's take just a few moments here. The buttocks bones rooting down, literally gently, but literally pushing down so you can lengthen up out of that. Nice light crown of the head. Working with the upper back and the front of the shoulders and the chest with that way we're very much in the heart chakra. So you might just pay attention to any sensations you have through that general area. And you can think of the heart center. Yes, of course, it's the very center of the chest, in which resides your heart and your lungs. But it also goes all the way through the shoulders, down the arms, into the hands, right? The agents, I'm going to call them, of the heart of love, kindness, compassion are the hands, giving and receiving. So, how do you hold your chest, your upper back, your arms, all the way down to the hands and the fingers? Bring your, actually, before you bring your hands together, you can open your eyes if you want to look at my body. You don't have to. But I just want to say really quickly, like, sometimes emotion plays in a posture, sometimes posture affects the emotion. It can go either way, right? But so often, we're just rounded forward with work and sitting and the things we do. But think about when you're feeling really sad, which, I just lost my best friend. It's like, right? We have that caving of the chest, the rounding forward of the shoulders. When we're feeling really vulnerable or like we want to be invisible and we don't want to be seen, when we're introverted, when we are angry often, right? What do? We bulk up and we sometimes it's a chest puff, but a lot of us will kind of like come in, right? And we'll be resentful or angry or whatever that is. Like so often we're closing this area off, right? What happens when we hold this in equanimity? I don't want to go crazy far the other way either. I want to be right in the middle with that open chest, right? That chin lifted. And I want to be standing in this posture. Just play with it. Notice what you notice in your body today. Namaste, love bugs. May you be well. May all beings everywhere be well. No exceptions.